Thank you for joining me for lesson 28 of Sefer HaMitzvos. We've completed just about a month of learning, and we've got 11 more to go. So shkoyach for sticking along with us. We've got two lessons or two mitzvahs that we're learning this lesson. First of all is positive mitzvah number 15, and then positive mitzvah number 18. Um, Positive mitzvah number 15 is the mitzvah of affixing a mezuzah to our doorpost, which is kind of the word actually for a doorpost in Hebrew is mezuzah. I don't know if you can kind of see right here. I've got one on the wall behind me as the entryway into my kitchen. That is a mezuzah. We put it if the doorpost was a human body, we put it where the heart would be at that level. And there's all kinds of traditions as to different things that are done, like slightly different variations on the way the scrolls might be written, depending on your community. Also, the way in which the mezuzah either leans or is vertical is going to depend on the community that you're a part of. But what we all agree on is that the mezuzah should, in order to fulfill this mitzvah, needs to be on all of our doors and our gates. So it's not just our front door, it's all the doors in our house. And we define a door as something that has two doorposts and a lintel going across the top. If it's a entryway that just goes straight up to the ceiling, that doesn't count. And so if you have a door in the house, you're going to put a mezuzah there. Whether or not you ever go through that door, if it's a door in your house, you put it there. And one exception is we don't put mezuzahs on the restroom. We also don't put them on a room that might be too small to qualify as a room, which might be like a small closet or something like that. And there are definitely a lot more rules regarding the mezuzah, but those are just some things to know. Now, mezuzah is written by a scribe, and there's a lot of details regarding the mezuzah, which sections are in there, and the sections that are in there are the sections that refer to putting a mezuzah on your door, and those are from the Shema. The first two paragraphs of the Shema are what's included in the mezuzah, and we put those mezuzahs on the door within the first 30 days of moving into a permanent residence, or if you're going to be living in a residence for an extended period of time, you need to put up a mezuzah, even if you're renting. It's not your place. You still need to put up the mezuzah. It could be you're staying in an Airbnb for an extended period of time. Ask your rabbi. You might need to be putting up the mezuzahs in the house. Even if you're just the renter for this period of time, even if it is an expense to you, and they are expensive, but that's the cost of doing this mitzvah. It's a beautiful mitzvah. It makes it so you can't walk throughout your house, throughout your neighbors' houses, even walking in and out of a restaurant. You can't help but realize that Hashem is present, that you're walking into a space that is owned by a Jewish person. It's a reminder, just like our tefillin, how we're supposed to touch our tefillin, the arm and the head, occasionally, in order to remember the holiness of Hashem and of the actual mitzvah itself. So when we come through the doorway, it's appropriate to kiss the mezuzah, and it's even a good thing to teach even our very little children to do so. All right, so that is the mitzvah of mezuzah, and there's a lot more we could say. So the second mitzvah is positive mitzvah number 18. This one, a lot of people I've heard say, people who maybe who aren't Jewish, or maybe some people who are Jewish, would say the rabbis are just putting a lot of stuff on your shoulders, putting heavy burdens on you, and they're just adding to all the mitzvahs that you got to do. Well, here's a mitzvah that they say is straight from the Torah, the rabbis, and they are lightening the load for you. All right, so the mitzvah is that every Jewish man should have to write his own Sefer Torah, his own Torah scroll. It's highly commendable and preferable that he write it himself. As our sages said, if he writes it, it is as if he personally received it at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai. But if it's impossible for him to write it for himself, they say you can at least pay for one, to buy one, to pay for a Sefer, a scribe, to write it in your place, kind of as your shaliach, as your emissary. That's okay. All right, so you don't have to write your own Sefer Torah, but you're going to have a scribe write a Sefer Torah for you. That is very expensive, because it's going to take that scribe a long time. Consider that it's probably close to a year's wages that you're going to be paying this scribe to make this scroll for you. So, and then every Jewish man needs to do that. Think about how many scrolls would be in a Jewish community if this is how we fulfilled this mitzvah. Well, so where does this come from? So the source of this commandment is God's statement, "Write for yourselves this song." So one may not write individual sections of the Torah. By the way, that verse was Deuteronomy 31:19. It says, "Write for yourselves this Torah," meaning that each person should, or excuse me, this song, and the song referring to the passage Ha'azinu in the Torah, and of course you don't write just one passage out of the Torah. You write the whole thing, because that's just the way it is. And so then every person's going to be writing their own entire Torah, and also the Torah itself is referred to as a song. So it's a big investment of time or money, but you can actually participate in the writing of a scroll. So there are ways that you can contribute to that. You can pay to help your community raise money for a new Torah scroll to be either written or purchased for your community. You can buy a letter that in the Torah. There are even um, uh, Torahs that are specifically paid for by the allowances of small children or even infants that the letters are purchased on their behalf in a Torah scroll. So they have whole Torah scrolls in Israel that Chabad organizes to be paid for entirely by children, and so that's a beautiful thing. So if you ever get the opportunity, if you're a Jewish guy, um, I highly recommend that you participate in the completion of a Torah scroll and the dedication of the Torah scroll. It's a joyous occasion. It's like attending attending a wedding with the dancing and the rejoicing, and it's like Simchat Torah on any day of the year, not just during or not just uh, at Sukkot time. So wonderful mitzvah to write your own Sefer Torah. Now, here's just a little devotion as well. You should definitely do all the things that we discussed, but also um, when we write Hashem's words upon our heart and we live them out. Um, so so those three garments of the soul that we talk about: thoughts, speech, and action. We become a living Torah where we can embody Hashem's word, and that we are able to demonstrate God's the wisdom of God's Torah and the goodness of God's Torah in the world. His Torah of kindness, His Torah of freedom. So let's all do the mitzvahs, and let's also um, make our own lives, our own bodies, a living Torah, um, and have a wonderful day. It's almost Shabbos. Have a good Shabbos. Be blessed. Goodbye.